All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to take a journey into a pretty incredible place, the vast, unexplored landscape of your own mind. We're going to look at how each of us actually builds our own reality and how we can navigate all the truths and, yeah, the deceptions we find in there.
This really sets the stage, doesn't it? The whole idea is that our minds hold this massive, untapped potential. It suggests that so many of our own abilities are just sitting there, hidden, because maybe we're not even aware of the true power we've got inside these inner worlds.
So let's get into our first big idea, the incredible power we have to actually shape our own reality. It's really about making a shift, a shift from just being a product of your circumstances to becoming the architect of your own experience.
And here's the kicker, right? The whole premise is that our experience of the world isn't something that just happens to us. We're actively building it. It all starts with what we believe, which then shapes how we conceive of the world, and that ultimately defines what we perceive.
This is so important to grasp. What we perceive isn't some objective, fixed reality. It's more like a mirror reflecting our own internal state back at us. What we see out there is ultimately determined by what we are willing to believe is possible in here. And think about what this really means. Our thoughts, those wishes, those deep-seated desires, they're not just fluff. They are literally the seeds that grow into our lived reality. Basically, nothing can really come into our world until we first, on some level, accept it as possible.
So that leaves us with this really big question, right? Is the world you see something you're creating, or are you just watching it go by? But, it's not like we're doing this in a bubble. There are other forces at play. Let's talk about how the outside world gets involved.
Yeah, like I was saying, we're not shaping our reality in a vacuum. There are all these external forces out there actively trying to mess with our perception. And a lot of the time, they use confusion as a weapon to twist our understanding of what's true.
Okay, so what's the difference between truth and, well, the other stuff? It's pretty simple when you break it down. Truth is steady. It lasts because it just is. You don't have to memorize a story. But disinformation, that's a tool. It's carefully designed to get a specific outcome by playing on what's easy for us to believe.
And the way this whole deception thing works, it's usually not some giant, obvious lie right out of the gate. It often starts small, really subtly. Sometimes it just begins by watering down the facts just a little bit.
Next, they start peppering in little details that sound true, right? They dress up those diluted truths with false facts. This gives the lie a little foothold, makes it seem credible without having to invent a whole new story from thin air.
And just like that, before you even realize what's happened, you're tangled up in it. What started as a tiny twist of the truth is now this huge, complex web of lies that can completely swallow up what really happened.
And that really speaks to the incredible power of a good story, doesn't it? Persuasive language can be so powerful, it can actually overwrite what you remember as fact. Someone who's less articulate could have the actual truth on their side, but they get completely drowned out by a more powerful storyteller. And it's not just about fancy words either. It's about conviction. So often, it's not the most factual story that wins, it's the one that's presented most forcefully. When people are unsure, a really dominant narrative can just take over, no matter what the facts say. Okay, so with all this noise, all these distortions coming at us from the outside, how in the world do we find our way back to what's real? Well, for this, we have to turn our focus inward to a kind of internal compass that we all have. I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? When everything around you feels blurry, when you're being told two opposite things are fact, where do you even begin to find some clarity? How do you get your bearings? Well, the answer we're exploring today is that it's already inside you. Your intuition, that gut feeling. It's presented here as this totally reliable tool for sniffing out deception. It's like your own personal truth detector, sensing what feels right and what just doesn't. And here's where it gets really cool. The idea is that intuition isn't just some vague thought in your head. It's a full body experience. It suggests these thought centers all over our body are constantly picking up and sending out intuitive signals, a whole internal communication system. So at the end of the day, the way to find that clarity is to trust that internal logical compass. No matter how many people are telling you you're wrong, no matter how much noise is out there, holding on to your own sense of what's logical is your path through the confusion.
All right, so we've talked about navigating the world as it is. Now let's talk about the really fun part, creating it. This is where we get into the process of actually turning our inner desires into our outer experience. This is the magic that makes things happen. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. Most of the things you truly want are actually within reach. The key, it says, is the deliberate focus of your energy and your intellect. In other words, what you consistently pour your attention into has the potential to become real. But yeah, just thinking about something isn't going to cut it, right? It takes sustained effort. That dogged persistence, that's the fuel. It's about deciding that giving up just isn't an option when you're trying to turn a deep desire into a tangible reality. And this is kind of a beautiful reminder of what's at stake. Our life is this dance with time. We only get a short window to be here and interact with this physical world. It's a real push to grab the opportunity, to stop letting things happen to you and start writing your own story. And this right here, this pulls it all together. It's the whole formula, really. The potential for anything to exist is already there. All it takes is the right mix of belief to get it started, vision to know where you're going, and that continuous focus to make life exactly what you want it to be. So we end right back where we started, inside that vast, powerful tundra of your mind. But now, hopefully, you have a new sense of your power to shape it. The only real question left is the one you see on the screen. What are you going to create?